Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we'll be going back over all the vintage purchases I made from May into early June 2026. So I got some fantastic run of Timescape books. I got loads of vintage Penguin stuff, some general, just all-round cool stuff, some British Library crime titles. We'll also be having a look at some of the new books that have come my way in the last few weeks as well. So it's going to be a real packed show. I really do hope you enjoy it. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so we'll mix it up as we go along, and just so we keep it interesting, and we'll start off with a handful of these Timescape books. So I got these from my friend Paul. Paul in London. He runs a SF Book Cave, which is a great little YouTube channel. Paul's been collecting an awful long time, decades in fact. And these Timescape books, he's actually got every single one that was ever published. I believe about 2/3 of them are in some way signed by either the cover artist or the author and or the editor, or sometimes all three. So it's a collection to be very, very proud of. He's also got some very, very nice point of sale and publishers catalogs and things like that. So it's super cool. Now with Timescape, the only mention of Timescape on this one is on the spine there. It very much varies. The ones I really like are these ones with the wavy Timescape. Now when I started collecting original Star Trek paperbacks for the original series around 1980-81. Timescape put them all, Timescape or Pocket put them all as Timescape books, and they also had a look at their existing list, and science fiction that seemed to fit the Timescape moniker was added to the list as well, the imprint as well, and I really like them. I'm not too fussed what print they are, as long as they've got the Timescape logo on them. And they have, this is another little variation, I think that's all three in fact in the first three books. They did in total, I believe, about 160. So it's not impossible to get them all, and probably about 15 to 20 of them are actually part of the main Star Trek series run, and I've got all of them, although they're in storage now, but I do have all of the Star Trek ones. So I'm now just picking up some of the SF and fantasy titles that were released as Timescapes, and we've got about I think I had about 16 or 17 off Paul, which were his spares, which is quite handy for me. So I was pleased, I can tell you. I said a lot of these are not actually firsts; they're just Timescape editions. I'm just trying to check the print on this. So this one actually is a first from October '83, but they're not all. Some of them are actually reprints, but the first time as a Timescape. And I think they're really, really nice jackets. I mean, not all the titles are the greatest, but there are some real good titles amongst it, including a couple of Philip K. Dick, which I think are probably going to be the ones I'm going to struggle with, but it's fine. That's the first as well, 1982. Quite a few of these have got either second-hand prices in or prices which Paul's picked them up at book fairs and things like that. And here's a nice Keith Warmer, look at that. In a way, they very much remind me of door books, because obviously these were American, printed in America. Some of the books in the list had British printings, and those consequently, generally speaking, did not come over to the UK at the time of publication, and those are the hardest Timescapes to get over here. One example of that is Ben Bova's Colony, which I have got, and that's probably one of the hardest Timescapes to get in the UK. Right, well, I've been itching, and I mean itching, to go through my recent Penguin pickups. So I was lucky enough to get picked out reasonably early in Tim Graham's latest Penguin catalogue. He's selling off, he's reached 80 now in his life, and has decided to get rid of his entire collection and concentrate on other things. So here we are, look at this, for the Forces, very, very cool. I didn't get everything I wanted, but I got about 2/3 of what I ordered on the catalogue. So I was incredibly pleased to get so much. I wasn't expecting to get so many, but I was pleased to get what I want. So these are what's known as EVT issues, and these are produced for the armed forces, but as you can see on the stamp there, for use of HM forces, but quite often towards the tail end of the war. And some of these, I believe, were even being used into the 1950s. This one's unusual. I mean, they're very, very, unusual. They're in hardbound. They're not paperback. The three that I got were 3 Penguin specials that were originally Penguin specials. Here's another one here. I got 3. This one, Production Department, Health of the Future. Let's see what this one's got. Nothing inside. It's just the straight book. Got the stamps again. And then this is the last one. I got Argument of Empire. I believe all 3 of these were Penguin specials. But these are the EVT. Now this is actually quite interesting because it's got quite a bit of history to it. So somebody's name, it says Salisbury 1956. SOC, I'm assuming that's been placed there period wise. It has actually got an £8.50 price, and that I can comfortably remove. But everything else on this has to remain in place because it's part of the book's story. The dealer price of £8.50 is not, however, so that can come out. But it looks like it was an incredibly unpopular book to be given in the library because it appears as if nobody has ever taken it out. Can you believe it? But quite nice there. Look, this book is the property of HM Forces and is on loan from the 94th Field Regiment RA Unit Library. That is very cool, isn't it? Very, very cool indeed. And these books, particularly these wartime ones with such fantastic history, are just something that I absolutely love. I mean, I really, really love. Very, very faint stamp inside there. I mean, I really do love these. They're amongst my favourites, and thankfully I have a lot of Prisoner of War and Forces Book Club titles to share with you this time, because I was quite lucky and got, not everything of course, but I got quite a bit of what I wanted, so I was very, very pleased. So yeah, that is the first little bit of quite a bit of Penguin stuff. I will show you this as well. So I got this leaflet. This was published by the Army Bureau of Current Affairs, and I've got, this is 1942, and this announces the Forces Book Club. There we are, to say that the Forces Book Club is coming out. You could buy 10 a month, and they would be sent to a unit overseas at £3, would get 10 parcels. Fantastic, really. And it could go to an individual person or a unit overseas, and they would arrange it. Sadly, it only lasted for 1 year, and it was a bit of a failure, and it was knocked on the head, and the stock which was printed but didn't end up going out as a Forces Book Club was rebound as a Prisoner of War book clubs and book club issues, and we got some of those to look at as well. So going to be quite the variety this time round, but that's super cool, that one. Okay, so this is the next sort of unusual item, and it's Robert Graves's The Greek Myths, but this was an American release where the books were bound into hardback and then put into a slipcase. So extremely unusual. I've only ever seen this once before, and it was on eBay. And the books were absolutely, the box set was falling to bits, and the books were hammered. In this case, the box isn't bad. It's got a little bit of, like, you could say shelf wear, which is very, very common with these sorts of things. It's actually got quite a bit. It was just dusty on the top there. The books themselves, unfortunately the spines have got a little bit of wear, a bit of splashing there, and a bit of fading, but the books themselves are pretty good. They do have a name inside. I'm not sure, it's William Holt Jr., something like that. January the 7th, 1956. And of course, these were published as a pair in the UK in the Penguin main series. But this is the American editions. Yeah, first published 1955 by Penguin Books. These are the following year. And extremely cool. Fold out map there as well, which is excellent. And Robert Graves's Greek Myths are really, really good. They're very, very interesting indeed. So I can see why they warranted the deluxe treatment, as it were. I mean, how nice are those? They really, really are, aren't they? So, I mean, up until a year or two ago, I didn't even know these had been published. I did get a few American books from Tim. I also got a couple of Australian, and that was cool. I didn't bother ordering any Egyptian or Palestinian edition because I'm less keen on those. I've got, I think there's 22 Egyptian, and I've got maybe 8 of them, so they are what they are. What I should have done with these, obviously they can't have any sort of formal cleaning, but I can just give the top edges the brush. They're not actually too bad. All these books were originally Penguin specials, and then they were bound up for the EBT service. But I don't think I've got any more. I've never sort of gone out of my way to collect them when they've appeared on catalogues, but they are admittedly very, very scarce, and well, they are what they are, aren't they? You know, you can't collect it all, but very, very cool indeed. Right, what is next? Well, you probably know I went to Hay-on-Wye with my friend Steve, the outlaw bookseller. So I did come back with one of their catalogue lists, and I'm not going to go into that now, but suffice to say, the video is already up on the channel taking a look at my time in Hay-on-Wye, and it was very, very good. I am definitely going back at some point. I also made a recent trip to Topsham, near Exeter, to do a book fair, and this one here was one that I came back with. It's a king penguin. I'm not sure if it's it's the first king penguin of monumental brasses. Basically, it just needs a clean, and I can put this one into stock because I've already compared it, and the copy that I had of this particular penguin was even better than this one. This one's very, very nice indeed. Ironically, I have just done a penguin sales video, but not to worry, it can go in the next one. Nowadays, when I go to a book fair, I always am on the lookout for new acquisitions for stock, because I can always compare them against my own copies, and then if they are, once I've done that, I can put them out for sale. So this one is just going to end up in my main regular stock, but it's a really nice copy of that one. Better than average, you know. A little bit of foxing on the covers, but generally all right. Yeah, pretty nice, that one. So these ones that are all done are over there. The timescapes and stuff are going to need a bit of a polish. Right, so this is one by Henry Williamson. The series is a 12 book series, or is it 14? A Chronicle of Ancient Sunlight. Now this is a hardback. The hardbacks of these, I think, have got a little bit scarce, particularly the early ones, and particularly in nice condition. Basically, it's sort of semi-autobiographical for Henry Williamson's life. Obviously, his most famous work was Tarp of the Otter, but he was a First World War veteran, and this story sort of starts in Volume 1, pre-war, in the book called The Dark Lantern, and it traces his entire life up until the late 1960s. It's very, very good. The wartime books, there's 3 books that are set during First World War, and World War I veterans actually praised the books on just how realistic they were. When Williamson was alive, he was interviewed multiple times about his experiences in the First World War, and it really is quite something. So this is not an easy series to put together. I mean, it really isn't. Even if you had all the money in the world, to try and find them in nice dust wrappers, that's the hard bit. And obviously, as first prints, even the paperbacks, which were published by Panther, are rare, and I haven't got a single one yet. I have seen them, and the last couple that have gone online have sold for between £20 and £30 for the paperback. In fact, the paperbacks in some cases are actually harder to find than the hardbacks, but there you go. But this is a tail end one. I don't think it's the very last one, but it's a pretty near the end one. I'll just give the edges the brush. Now the dust wrapper has been protected, and it's looking a little bit the worse for wear. So I'm hoping we can get this out of this dust wrapper without damaging it too much. So sometimes these just tear quite easily, others not. So I'm getting my blade here, because if we can release this sellotape, we should be able to just slide the dust wrapper out. There we are. There we are. And I got one this side to do as well. I don't know how long this dust wrapper's been on here, but it could be quite some time, this protector. So there's another bit here, but that we may have actually done enough to get this out anyway. So yeah, look, there we are. So that can go on the floor, and let's have a little look here. So it looks okay. I'd say the spine has caught the tiniest bit of sun. You can see that it's not quite pristine, and it is a little bit grubby on the back, I've got to say. But to be honest, I think that's going to be absolutely fine for me. I'm not going to complain too much. I will eventually re-jacket this one in a plastic sleeve of my own. But for now, it's out of that one that potentially it's been in for many years. And that was not expensive. I think at the Topsham Fair, it was about a tenner, which is really good for that. So I'm pleased with that copy. That's all right. That is all right. So there we are. That's groovy. And I've got one other hardback. Now, this one came from a channel supporter, my friend Simon Proctor. Simon is a hell of a guy, and he's also a massive Paddington Bear collector. In fact, he's got a web page where he lists all the Paddington Bear books and the illustrated. Obviously, the most famous is by Peggy Fortram here. Now, Simon sent this one down, and I absolutely was not expecting. It's really nicely wrapped, so I'm going to keep that as is. I'm not going to take that out of the wrap. But I was really surprised because I had a little look inside, and lo and behold, look at this. It says, "For Rory, with all good wishes, Michael Bond." It's actually a signed one. Can you believe it? So I was over the moon with that. I did and ah about collecting Paddington in hardback first. Once again, this is one, I think it's one of the tail end ones, quite near the end now. I've got all the paperback firsts now, the Puffin ones anyway. Then he moved, I think the last couple are not by Puffin, but I've got a couple anyway. So I've got all the paperback firsts, but I haven't got them all in hardback, and I've and ahed about it because I really do love Paddington. But having a signed one, well, Simon, I couldn't believe it. So thank you very, very much for that. That is a real treat, and what a great cover that is, isn't it? Super cool. That's got the number 11 on, so I'm assuming that it must be book 11 in the series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Paddington 6. Yes, the 11th one. Very cool indeed. And another hardback, and also signed. So this was also at the Topsham Book Fair. This one I ended up getting for £28. I think it was 35 less 20%. So it's J.G. Ballard, and it's his autobiography of growing up. Haven't read it yet, but I was speaking to my friend Steve, the Outlaw Bookseller, about it recently, and he said it is excellent. And this was the slipcase edition. Appears to be unread, but this is a signed one. So it's this one here, limited to 1,000 copies. Steve seems to remember when this was published, because he's a huge Ballard fan, that this was possibly a Waterstones exclusive at the time. One of the ones that you could only buy from their website when, shops were doing that. So 2008, so it's 18 years old, but there we are. Once again, I didn't have anything signed by Ballard, who I really like. I've got every single one of his regular works, and this was really nice to get for a little addition to the collection. That was my treat from the last Topsham Book Fair. And when you watch this one, because I've got it slated to go out a couple of weeks, I would have also recently visited the Frome Book Fair, which is one which is organised again by the PBFSA, which is a professional booksellers association, and they've organised another another fair up in Frome, so hopefully I'll have equally as good a time at that one. So I picked up this bit of Penguin memorabilia. I've actually got a notebook in my collection, but I didn't have the Brighton Rock one. They're dated 2008, which is about right, I think. And this isn't sealed. The other one I've got is absolutely sealed. I can't for the life of me remember what it is. I think it might be the Invisible Man, but this one isn't sealed, but is in a little bag, and everything looks complete on it. So I'm just going to leave it like that. But I do indeed enjoy Brighton Rock. It is by far, I think it's my favourite graham green of all. So yeah, really, really cool. Now, this was sent to me by a viewer of mine, and embarrassingly, I can't remember his name. I mean, he even bought some books off me, so mate, I do apologise. Please pop a comment in. But he sent me this, which was a little leaflet for when Penguin started re-releasing the Simonon paperbacks with a brand new translator. And I remember that was the first one, Piet the Latvian, which I did read. I really enjoyed as well. So yeah, there was only a few out at the time. So look at this, 2013, already 13 years ago now. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. It's a beautiful bit of memorabilia. So thank you very much for that. I have a small handful of the reissues. I haven't got them all. I ummed and ahed about collecting them at the time, but in the end, I just didn't have the room or the inclination or the money to buy them every month. But nowadays, secondhand, I do pick them up, and I wish I bought them, but it is what it is. But I have a few, and this will be a nice little compliment to that little collection. So thank you for that one. Right, what have we got next then? So you've probably heard of Chester Himes, the great author who did, I started in the 1950s writing some fantastic, really edgy crime stories, and I've collected Chester Himes in different editions over the years. Panther did some particularly good ones, and they're amongst the hardest ones nowadays, I think, to find, apart from the original American firsts, of which I have 3 really nice ones. The original, because they were paperback originals. So I've got 3 of those, and they are very expensive nowadays, but I picked them up over 20 years ago, and you could get these things quite cheap. But the Panther ones are proving quite elusive. Though this isn't perfect, but it was only £3, so I thought I'd give it a stab for that sort of money, So I am quite pleased with that. But it is the worst for wear, but it'll do as a filler. It's not perfect by any means, but it will do as a bit of a filler. So that was okay. And then I've got a few more here. So let's pull this little rack. So once again, this was at Topsham. So it was a really, really tip-top copy of Peacock number 8. Hardly anywhere on it at all. I just wanted to compare this one against my own copy before I pop it into stock, really. And that's a really nice one. So there's literally nothing to do on that. It's perfecto. Same book fair. Look at this, another beautiful condition Penguin special. That's not an easy one to get. I mean, this is probably going to have a £5 on it. In fact, it had a £5 on it, but I picked it up from a store where all the paperbacks were 3 for £5. So I think I was the winner there. But as a specialist dealer, I would put a £5 on this particular copy because it is really nice. As you can see, 1943, a tough time in Penguin history, that. So once again, that was just one as a bought for resale. As was this. It was just an old puffin, number 170. I can't remember the condition of all my puffins. I've got an upgrade list of ones that I know I need to get better copies of, but I couldn't tell you if this is one of them, so I'm just going to clean it and compare when I take it upstairs. And the lower grade one will be the one ending up in stock. But that's absolutely fine. Really nice spine on it as well. This one I picked up off eBay. This has proved incredibly elusive, and I think the reason why is because Stanislaw Lem is so popular, and I read a little bit of him last year, a couple of short stories, and they were really good. I mean, really good. I really enjoyed them. Peter Tybus did the very funky cover on this. So this has taken me some time to track down, and even now this is not great, but it was only £6. I've seen copies of this be offered for about 30, which is way too much, but this was 6 with a couple of spine creases, but I'm okay with that. It's another science fiction off the list. I am very, very close to doing a Penguin science fiction video. I just want to clear all the 1970s Penguins that I've got here in the studio with me, and then I'll be up for doing it. Right, Now we go to Telly Savalas at Kojak. So I picked up a couple of Kojak books at the Matford Toy Fair, and these were really nice. The dealer there charged me £4 each for them. I've got a couple, so one of these, I think this one may even be a double, but it is really, really tight. Apart from the name inside, it's a really tight copy, so that's really nice, that one. And I got off the same person here, Take Over Kojak. I think this is the reprint. A couple of these were reprinted, or it might be the other way around. I just can't remember. Yeah, it doesn't say it's a reprint, but I think they did 3 in that jacket, and then they reprinted 2 of them in that sort of guise. But once again, pretty scarce. Got a nice spine on it. I've been picking up Kojak stuff lately, and my friend Kurt over in the States has grabbed me a little batch of 3 Kojak TV guides from the 70s. How cool is that? And once again, I was really, really pleased to get this. This was at the same show. It was the one and only British Rockford Files book that came out. There was 2 in America, but there was just the one in the UK, and it's this one here. And once again, I was supremely happy with that. The Rockford Files is, of course, due back on our screens this year with David Boreanaz in the title role. And I did do a little video on Maverick and Rockford Files collectibles. You may have seen it on the channel. I did it with my friend Gary, who's got a big collection of that stuff. So that was super cool. This one I've been around for a long, long time. I've been after this for ages. So I collect John Wyndham in most guises. So when the different cover comes out, if it comes my way and it's one reasonably priced, I'll generally pick it up. Now this particular run, these came out in like 66, 67, and they've all got this style of cover, and they've all got massive penguin logos, and a lot of them have got photograph covers, and I think it's a particularly tricky time. If you're after a particular jacket, it's a hard period to track down for whatever reason. I don't think penguin sales were particularly good at this point in time. But there's a few, like the George Orwells, 66. The George Orwells from this period. There's other Wyndhams. There's some Graham Greene, like the Brighton Rock with the photograph cover. You can't find it in nice condition. And this one here, with a nice spine and that, I've had it on a wants list for about 3 years, maybe even longer, until one's finally turned up. And once again, I got it for about £6, which might seem a lot just for the reprint, but it's such a tough edition to find. I was really pleased with that. Next, an Agatha Christie, and where did this come from? I have a feeling someone sent me this as well, but I can't remember. An Overdose of Death. I'm getting rather forgetful in my old age. Where did this come from? Well, look, once again, apologies. I'm pretty sure someone sent me this one. I don't think I picked it up anywhere in particular. I should keep a track of this, really. And in most cases, I actually do. I try and keep the documentation back for when I do my pickups video. But sadly, this time round, I overlooked that. But it's a nice Dell. It's one I haven't got. I've got some of the earlier Dell ones with their brilliant map back covers, the maps on the back. But that's one I didn't have. And then look at this. This was from the Topsham Bookshop. So on the day of the Topsham Book Fair, myself and my friend Andy went down to the Topsham Bookshop, and upstairs they had a big paperback section, and I came across this one. I was really, really pleased to get it because I love oblong books, jackets rather, and it's got that photograph cover by Harry Pecanotti, who I collect. I collect all the book jackets that he did, and there's quite a few. These particular ones, they did these Iris Murdochs. They did at least a dozen. Pecanotti himself did a fair few more for Penguin over the years. Not all Iris Murdoch, and I am all the ones that I think I know of. I think I've got, but there's some of the Iris Murdoch, the ones that are first prints. Some of the Iris Murdoch ones I still am missing. I'm not religiously tracking them down, but when they turn up, I most definitely grab them. And this one for $2.50 was well worth it. I've seen these go for about £10 each on eBay, which is ridiculous. They're never worth that. but I think there are people who collect him as a photographer, and I think the magazine he worked on in the early 70s was called Now, and he was I think he was one of the first people to use Joanna Lumley as a model. The actress now, Joanna Lumley, she started out as a model, and I think this chap here, this photographer, discovered her. Something along those lines. I think that's the story. Right, okay, so I think what we'll do, we've got a couple more hardbacks here, then I might need to make a little bit of room. So once again, this was from book dealer Tim's list, and it's an Alan Lane, the Penguin Press. So when Alan Lane retired, they created a hardback list in his name, Alan Lane, the Penguin Press. And from Tim's latest catalogue, I only bought 2 Alan Lane books because I don't really collect them. I've got a handful of titles that I'm interested in rather than trying to get them all, because it takes up a lot of room, and they're tough to track down, really. But I'm very much interested in Roy Lichtenstein. I've always liked his stuff. He was the guy who would pick up panels from comic books and blow them up onto huge canvases, and this one looked pretty good. So I think what we'd do, I didn't want to miss out on this because I'd never seen one before, so it wasn't cheap. After discount, this cost me £18, but I didn't think that was too bad because I've never ever seen it. As I said, I keep an eye out for Lichtenstein books, and I really, really do like him. If you look at my logo, my channel logo on YouTube, it is a take on a Lichtenstein picture called In the Car. There he is. I first really got to know him or find out about him when there was a South Bank show. Who remembers the South Bank show in the UK, where they would have an hour-long show on an artist or a writer, all sorts really. Directors would get their own sort of piece. A bit dusty. And it was on a South Bank show that that I first found out about Lichtenstein. I first realised that I'd seen the artwork before, of course, but I didn't know anything about the artist or who he was, what he was called. And then I went and promptly bought a book on him, and I very much liked him ever since. There was an exhibition, I think it was at the Tate in London a few years back, and probably 10 years ago. It was amazing. And it was all the classic pieces. They'd been rounded up from right around the world. It was fantastic, really, really enjoyable. So this one is a bit mucky though, so it's going to appreciate a polish. It's probably never been done. About 1970 this one was published, so it is reasonably old. And yeah, it's just got a little bit of handling where you see it's come right up. Very, very nice indeed. Just on the edges here. Spine as well. Yeah, I've got the very, very first Alan Lane, the Penguin Press book, which is a 2-volume book, and it's almost like a celebration of the printed word. It's really amazing. And I got that a couple of years back, very, very luckily, in a collection. So I've got the very first one. But apart from that, I've only got a handful. After this one though, I have got one other hardback to show you, which was also Alan Lane, the Penguin Press, but it's not in a dust wrapper, and I'm not 100% sure if it even came in a dust wrapper. But it was basically a hardback edition of a book that Penguin had published in their main series, and it's the Penguin Book of Comics. So we'll look at that one right now, and then I'm going to take a little break. So it's this one here. See, the Penguin Book of Comics, huge book, and this was published in the main Penguin series. I forget the number off the top of my head, but this is just the hardback edition of it. Great book, isn't it? And this was the same price. Never ever seen it in this format. I've only ever seen it in the much more common paperback edition. Let's just check the date on this. It might be mid-70s, I can't remember. Let's have a look. I'm quite interested to see the printing history on this. And look at that, it's not even in there. That's a surprise. Here we are. First published 1967. That would have been the original Penguin main series edition, which I've got. Revised edition 1971, and that's this one here. There we are. So it's a reissue of a book that originally was published in the Penguin main series, and that is super cool. So I think I'm going to call it there as the first little section done, and we've got some good stuff done. And I think we'll have a little look at some of the brand new books that have come my way in the last sort of 6 weeks. Okay, so before we get started into the new books I picked up this month round, I did pick up some of these from Dorset Bob. So these are published by the British Library, and they're part of their like classic crime, interwar years crime. And Bob gave me these for a very good price of £3 a book, which is very good indeed. Bob picked up a collection of them. I don't know how many there was there, but there was a lot. I don't think it was all of them, but there was a lot. And I already had about a dozen in my collection anyway. So I picked some up from Dorset Bob, and I got some from the Topsham Book Fair. So I've had quite a few of these rather, come my way, which is good fun. So I wanted to go through and just have a quick look at the ones these are the ones I picked up off Dorset Bob. I'm not 100% sure if these are loads of reprints or not. This one doesn't say it is a reprint. I wonder what the print runs are. But a lot of them have got introductions by Martin Edwards, who's like a crime expert. And, well, here we are, Notting Hill Mystery. So I don't think I've got any of these, but there may be the odd one which ends up being a double. So I'm going to have to compare. I have now got a list together, thankfully. But you see, nice clear type, good stuff. Yeah, see this one here, in fact. Oh yeah, it does say 2015. Yeah, I have got the list of them now, which I got from the British Library website. And it is bang up to date. So I was quite surprised to see that the library is still publishing one of these a month, if you can believe it. Now, you can subscribe to them, which is what I've now done, and they're sent directly to your door. But they also come with some freebies, like you get a bookmark of the front jacket, and you get other things, other bits and pieces in there as well. So this one's got a sticker on the back. Yeah, there's other bits and pieces that come with it, like maps and prints and things like that, timelines. It's basically printed ephemera that comes as a little bonus to thank you for being a subscriber. And as I said, you can subscribe to the British Library list anywhere in the world. Obviously, I'm in the UK, and they're delivered to you upon publication each month. And that's really cool, isn't it? So I think the books, generally speaking, brand new nowadays, I think are the £9.99 or £10.99. Obviously, these started 11 years ago now, so the original early books are £8.99. But you might be tempted to subscribe and get a batch of freebies each month as well. I have now decided to do that, so I'll let you know how I get on, and I'll show you the freebies that come each month with my particular subscription. I am, once I've got a few more of these, and I've got a few more read under my belt, I will do a video on them, looking at the list, because I think it's really good, and it'll be an appreciation of the list. I mean, they are just beautiful, aren't they? They, I think they used Great Western Railway classic posters on these, you know, for their front jackets. This one has got a crease on it, but as I said, they weren't expensive. They do seem to be turning up now because the books have been bought and they started turning up on the second-hand circuit. And Bob has very much been going around and hoovering them up, and he himself collects them, and as do I. So I would like to get them all in tip-top shape, mind you. So we'll see how we get on. But as far as I know at the moment, I don't think any of them are particularly rarer than any of the other ones. I don't think they've ever been remaindered, but from the British Library website, they often have a 3 for 2 sale. So if you want to try a few, if you go there, you can probably pick up a few little bargains. This is Calamity in Kent. But I do love the way that they're formatted. It's not B format. It's just like a slightly wider B format, I suppose. But you can see how clear the text is. These are a real delight to read, and you could sort of say they're cozy crime. you wouldn't be a million miles wrong. But not all of them. These are, as I said, it's that interwar period. That's what these are. And yeah, as I said, there was a couple of stores at Topsham which had quite a few, and I'm sort of looking for them around me, and I can't quite. I think I've spotted them now. I think I've seen the other ones. The ones that we're looking at here were all the ones I got from Dorset Bob, but I have got another pile just to the right of me, which we'll dig out as well in a minute, because they are also brand new. And I'll put all these together with what I've already got, and we'll be able to have a look. But I've checked all of these, you know, and none of them are coming up as reprints. They all seem to be first prints, which is quite cool, isn't it? Very, very nice indeed. In a lot of cases, these are aimed at people who've read all the Agatha Christie's. They read all the J.O. Marshes, you know, all the sort of the more common stuff, and they're looking for things which potentially have been out of print for a long time and are perhaps more obscure. And as I think the whole list is under the editorship of Martin Edwards, and there probably isn't anyone better qualified to guide this list, you know, these obscure books back into print. He is the man, really, you know. I know he's been on the great podcast, She Done It, which I really, really like, as a guest. Maybe I could get him onto this, you know, because he also published a great book on, also wrote a great book published by Collins on the history of the Collins Crime Club. So he would be a great guest to track down if I could get to meet him possibly and invite him onto the channel. Anyway, this is the last one from Dorset Bob. So all of these were absolutely great. Just the one, the late District Murder, had a little spine crease on. And this one has actually got a little bit of, the edges are a little bit tanned. So this has been aged. So this is not quite as sharp as the rest of them. And to be honest, I do only want these in shot. This is the covers coming off as well. These are not quite as nice, that one. So I think that one is going to go back to Bob, because it's not one that's good enough quality for me to keep. I do only want these really, really nice. Now, just to the right of me here, I've got some more. So I think these were the ones I picked up at Topsham. So we might as well go through these as well, since we're in a bit of a crime classics frenzy here. Is that all of them? Let's have a look here. Blimey, there's more than I thought. Yeah, and I remember now. And I also picked up a couple of picadors. So we'll do those in a minute as well. So a couple more B formats, but we'll do the rest of these crime classics. So Murder of My Aunt. We'll see if we got any doubles here, because when I picked the ones up off Bob, I didn't have my list on me. But these were the ones those I got from Bob. These are from the Topsham Book Fair. So that's 2018, and that's the first. Death in the Tunnel. I've heard about this one. I've heard this is a good one. If you've watched my my recent Hay-on-Wye, you would have seen I went into the new bookshop up there called Christie and Doyle, and it specialises in Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle. And they had all of these in massive numbers. I mean, I assume they had them all. I mean, the thing is, I haven't been checking. I haven't been trying to fill in gaps yet. But it's now that I've got all these, plus when I add them to what I've got inside already, I'll take them off my wants list and I'll on my checklist, and I'll be able to see which ones I'm after, which is really good timing, because I'll see if I pick up any more at the Frome Book Fair. So verdict of 12. All the ones I picked up off Bob were from memory. I didn't. I could sort of remember the ones that I had. Death Has Deep Roots. But yeah, these came off two different book dealers who both had a nice run of them. And I was very pleased to pick them up too. 2019, this one. So what I'll do on my pickup videos, I will show you the latest releases from the Crime Classics list, and I'll show you the freebies that you get if you decide to subscribe, and we can gauge ourselves whether the subscription is worth the extra couple of quid to get the freebies plus get it delivered to your door. I mean, I'm happy to order it from someone at Amazon or even in a local bookshop, but the exclusive, the reason for doing it is because the books come with their own bookmarks, and they do have other miscellaneous printed ephemera. So I'll keep a little folder with all the bits and pieces in, so I've got it all together, and we'll see what we'll see. So what's this? The Measure of Malice, scientific detection stories. These are always really cool, and throughout the list, Martin Edwards has done these themed ones, like crime stories set in a particular place or a particular style of story, and they'll be the ones that I enjoy the most. So this one actually has a bookmark in. Someone didn't get too far in it. They are beautifully made books, I've got to say, they really are. So what's this? This is from, it's the Cats Protection League. Well, I don't mind them. That's where my two cats came from. Sadly, we lost Dexter last year, but or earlier this year, but we've still got Rita, and they both came from the Cats Protection League. They do great work. Resorting to murder. So this is another themed one by Martin Edwards. This is holiday mysteries, and this has got that Arthur Conan Doyle, E.W. Hornung, Arnold Bennett, Kit Chesterton there, R. Austin Freeman. So familiar names. Anthony Berkeley. I do love the format, the way that these are really nicely spaced out. That has to have been done for a reason, maybe because the target audience for these is perhaps the older reader now. I mean, I don't know. The sort of people I see really into the interwar crime are youngsters, sort of, middle-aged, you could say. Very popular with the ladies, I think, as well. More so perhaps than the men, but hard to tell, isn't it? My sister's mad on these, and she's a year, 2 years younger than me, and a huge Christie fan, but she's very much into this period of crime. She might look at these and get quite jealous and might want to start collecting them herself. Who knows? We've got two prices in this one. So there we are. So that's all my run of British Library Crime Classics that I've picked up recently. I've got about another 5 or 6 inside. So I've got about 20 of the 151, as I film this, that have currently been published. So I've got quite a way to go. But they are super cool, and they are definitely sort of on my radar. So since we got the B formats out, I just do these as well. So I picked up 3 Picador White Spines, which I do also collect. These are 3 that I didn't have. They're either first editions or early editions. So let's have a little look. This one is a Picador First from 1981. Very nice. These are in the Topsham bookshop. They had a few more Picadors up there, and they also had some Virago, the women's list with the great dark green spines. But I didn't have time, unfortunately, when I was up there to go through the Virago list properly. But I'm going to go to the Topsham Book Fair again because I had so much fun there, and the bookshop was very good, and they had a couple of other bits in that bookshop that I think I'm going to get next time I go, because I had a little think about it. Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. See if they're still there. This is cool, isn't it? Faye Weldon. I've only ever read one of hers, which was The Lives and Loves of a She-Devil, and that was absolutely years ago. This is a little bit tanned. It's the first Picador from 1977, so I can't complain. It's going to need a bit of polish on that, but that's better than generally they are. Look at the original cover price, £1. And I got one other. Now this one I remember is a reprint, but I tend to pick up the big omnibuses because you rarely see them in nice condition. And although this isn't perfect, this is better than you generally see them. Look, it's huge. So once again, it needs a bit of a polish, but this wasn't actually the first. This was a reprint. Let's have a look here. It was It's omnibus edition published 1995 by Picador. This edition published 1996. Well, the jury's out on that. I'm pretty sure this was a reprint when I sort of looked it up at the time. So, but I'm not too worried. They did some really great omnibuses. A couple of Dashiell Hammett ones are fantastic. They really are. But that's all the B format. So I'm going to need to make some more room yet again, and then we shall look at the new books. Okay, so you may have seen my dedicated review of this one on the channel, but this is Page and Screen, a visual compendium of TV tie novels, 6595 by John Mabey. Now, this is a great book. It's a hardback, and it's a real labour of love by John, and he's gone through his own collection and collections from other collectors around the UK and picked up, well, it's just put together a really definitive guide to a British TV tie-ins, and just blimmin' everything's in here. It's a really great book. So I go into this in big detail in the dedicated video. It's over half an hour long, but this is just going to give you a little hint of what to expect if you collect TV tie-in editions. There's a lot of good stuff in here. There really is. They don't cover Doctor Who or Star Trek because those have sort of been done in their own books anyway, but all the other major series are in here, and you won't go far wrong with this. It's really good. So this is available from Amazon. Some of the Kojaks we just saw. It's available from Amazon, and also from the author direct. John has his own Facebook page if you'd like a signed one, and yeah, it comes highly recommended. As you can see, super cool, really great. I love the science fiction section. Brilliant, isn't it? It really is full color. There's over 2,000 illustrations in here. Not to be sneezed at, I can tell you that. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, that was the first book I'm going to show you, and as I said, there is a dedicated review on the channel, which is the same for this one, which is on the artist Gil Cohen, Inside Out. So this is the archive edition. This is from New Texture, and it's edited by Bob Dice and Wyatt Doyle, and this copy here is the signed one rather. I was sent the promotional bookmark with mine, and this was the book that they've already done on Gil Cohen, which is One Man Army, and it's his paperback cover artwork. This is a bit different, as you'll see. This is his work that he did for the men's adventure magazines, tail end of the 60s, 70s. Just amazing. In fact, 50s I think he started. We'll have a look. This is mid-70s is when he stopped, and it's his covers and his center spreads and illustrations. They just knock out. Really good. What a fantastic style. Yeah, we're back into the 1960s. Yeah, it was very early 60s by the looks of it. Yeah, tail end of the 50s. So it was right, yeah, 50s to the mid 1970s. This particular edition's super cool because it was the signed one. So I was really, look at that, very pleased indeed to get this one with the signed book plate in. So yeah, but once again, there's a dedicated review of that one where we take a much closer look at it, and as you can see, it's another absolutely gorgeous sort of archival coffee table book, and definitely one to add to your library. Right, now these next ones I've not done a video on because they literally only turned up the other day, and I haven't even looked through them properly myself. But they're from the publishing company is called Design for Today, and Design for Today is the man behind it is a chap called Joe Pearson. Joe's a huge Penguin book collector. I've known him since my 20s, so I've known Joe for a few decades now, and he's one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet. I always remember when I first started collecting penguins, one of the books I most wanted to get was The Battle of Britain, the Puffin picture book for the Battle of Britain. And not only did Joe manage to track a copy down from his like pre-internet days, he actually just gave it to me. What a guy. Anyway, here we are. So Abbott Toys, Design for Today. So this is one of a couple of books we're looking at today. I haven't been through these, but this is the history of Abbott Toys. It really, there it is, look, the Battle of Britain. Really iconic. Their toys, the artwork used on the toys, their catalogues, but the actual toys themselves, the slide puzzles and stuff, just great stuff. I remember having some of these in the 70s. This is the sort of thing they did when I think they were having their last hurrah. but so creative, really, really great. So I'm very much looking forward to this. You just don't see these toys at the toy fairs, although I think I have a odd wooden car in the loft by them, which I've still got, like a toy car. But there's these like tray puzzles. They're really, really great, but not easy to find. But good stuff. It's just a history of the company, so I'm really, really pleased. This is excellent. Everything I've seen that Design for Today have ever published, I've just really enjoyed. So just go to the Design for Today website. So that's one thing. I've also got he sent this one here, which is a tiny little sort of gift, Enid Mark's quiz book gift, a little concertina thing, which I'm going to save as a present for someone. This was also popped in. It was a squeezy book. Once again, just great little designs, beautifully printed. All this stuff is so good. It's a squeeze book. And then the last thing we got is this, which I believe has just come out. So this is a celebration of 50s and 60s matchbooks from the motels of California with 27 screen prints. So I'm going to need to open this one up and let's have a look. Here we are at this. So I know Joe himself, I don't know if Joe did these, Joe himself collects Japanese matchbooks covers, if you can believe it, vintage Japanese matchbooks covers, and his collection's astonishing. You just can't believe it. And he shares them on his Instagram, which I heartily recommend. But these were some other ones, and I'm going to really soak these up. I don't know if there's much in the way of history on these, or if it's just the reproductions, but we'll have a look. Oh, look at these. They're just amazing, aren't they? They are real little design icons, these. Wow. I'm going to enjoy going through this one. Yeah, so it doesn't look to be much of a history of them. It's just a reproduction of the actual matchbooks themselves. Very cool. Very cool. There's a little bit about them there. Oh, there we are, by Joe. There we are. So yeah, these are probably from his own collection. As I said, his Japanese ones are just astonishing, but he hasn't pulled those together in a book yet. But there we are. So as far as I can see, I think for the time being, as I'm filming this right now, that's all the sort of brand new books that have come my way. But I still have stacks and stacks more of a vintage and secondhand to do. So we better crack on and get that sorted now. Okay, so we're going to move on to some of the really special stuff this time round, and I was very, very lucky to get a very decent run of Penguin Prisoner of War books and also some Forces Book Club this time round, and I did push the boat out a bit because I thought, well, when am I ever going to get the opportunity to buy so many in one hit, or have the opportunity to buy so many in one hit? So I just went for it, and the Prisoner of War books are, in a lot of cases, rebound Forces Book Club editions. Then they very much vary in condition. Some of these have got obvious faults, but the main thing is they've got the correct covers and the inside cover. This one, as you can see, has got a page out, but it is what it is. But it is a rebound Forces Book Club, as you can see. So it would have been published in the Forces Book Club, and then it's come out as a POW issue. And you can generally tell the POW issues because they've all got the same back. So the same back cover is the way to do it, but they are in different colours. So I'm just going to go through them, and we'll brush these off sort of while we're here, basically. So do a few Pelicans first. But these are all very rare survivors, and I'll basically take them in any condition. This one has got a little bit of the spine coming away, so we've not done any gluing this time round, so, and I haven't actually used the glue in a few days, so we'll have a look, see if we can get it going again, because I'd like to glue that little bit back in there, you know. So let's have a see. This is my bookbinder's glue. It's usually pretty good, and it dries completely clear, so if a bit goes over the edge, you don't need to worry because it will dry clearly. The only thing I've found with this one is that the end, like the nib if you like, can get a bit clogged up after use. So you need to bear that in mind. But that's going to stop that bit detaching itself. And although there's a little bit of glue underneath, as I said, that's going to dry completely clear. And we won't need to worry about it. And then on my glue here, I'm just going to wipe the end like that, because we may well need it later on. We've got Forces book clubs as well to do. So this one's in better condition. And some of these POW issues are absolutely beautiful. What I've decided to do, since I've had so many come my way in one hit, is to pull all the prisoner of war issues that I've got, and I've got about 10 anyway in my main collection. I'm going to pull them all together, and I'm going to do a video on the on my collection of prisoner of war and Forces book clubs. Or maybe even 2 separate videos looking at them as a permanent snapshot of where I am in the collection right now, because I've got by no means have I them all. You know, they're just so scarce. In fact, there isn't really a definitive list of how many POW issues there actually are. But there was 120 Forces book club, but for POW issues we don't really know. But there's a couple of collectors working on trying to get the there's a little tick there, trying to get the accurate figures together. So this one is interesting because it's got an original owner's name, L.A. Tomlinson or Johnson, something like that. And I did see at least one of the poems had a little tick next to it. Maybe it was one that he'd studied or something like that, or read. Yeah. But because of that, and I don't really know what the score is with that, it's not like it's a bookshop price. I'm going to leave that name inside because I don't really know who that person is. And it's a little bit of the book's history, really. So you have to be careful with these. I don't want to erase anything which could be, you know, part of its sort of heritage or pedigree. It's not like a regular second-hand book where I just want it as nice as it could possibly be, you know, basically as published. Not the case with these. That's a nice copy, isn't it? Some of these are excellent. This is the last Pelican, I think. What happened in history. There we are. I said they've all got this very similar back cover, which is how you can spot these. There we are. That one also looks like it might have had a page out. But we're not caring here. See, this one doesn't appear to be a Rebound Forces book club, so who knows? It's very, very difficult. As I said, there is no definitive list, so collectors are just sort of, even now we're still piecing together what potentially is out there. So here's a special Modern Battle, but in the POW cover. Bit of a fragile back cover. Some of these you really don't want to handle too much. This is T. Keeley, Christ's Hospital, 1965, that one says. So that was around quite long after the war. An ABC of the Pacific. Now this one is slightly miscut. The cover is folded over. You can see that's sort of typical of what might happen during the war. So it's got that, may have been on the edge of the pages that were getting cut. But apart from that slight misprint, it appears to be a very nice copy indeed. Yeah, published by the Forces book club there. So unlike the Forces book clubs, these basically retain their ordinary covers, except the back cover. This one's slightly different. This is a services edition. I still, unfortunately, need Call for Alarm. The last 2 or 3 times it's appeared on catalogues, I've dipped out and not got it. So I still need just one more of these to finish the set. This one's got a torn page there. But I don't mind. I think they will all turn up in the fullness of time. But as I said, I still need Calls for Alarm, and it will turn up. It will turn up. I'm confident of that. I have seen at least 2 this year, so, you know, they are around. It's just being lucky and spotting it, or getting lucky in a draw. And at least I got one that I needed. So, you know, they're not perfect. I'm not, you know, mad about them, these ones, but it's nice to have them anyway. That one is fairly low grade, but better than not having one at all. This was a real treat. This was a BOAC one for Put Out More Flags. Now, once again, it needs a little bit of glue there down the bottom, but it's in a unique cover. I've only ever seen one other like this. So BOAC, they carried this on for quite some time, but the books were tended just to have a little sticker over the penguin logo, and you see those now and again. They turn up, and I think I've got at least one or two. Once again, look, it's not been cut perfectly because of the time that it was published. Look at that, reprinted 1945. But I think with this one we can indeed warrant putting a slither of glue down there, because it is just coming away, and I'd like to stop that getting any worse. So what I'm going to do, I've got a screwdriver here. I'm just going to pull it and then hold it back like that, just enough to hopefully slither my glue in. I'm going to use this screwdriver just to squish that in a little bit. And that, I suspect, should be absolutely fine to just keep this one in place and stop that little bit, including the penguin logo, disappearing by getting damaged. Obviously, all the books that we're looking at here, once I've done the final clean, I'm going to be bagging them up. But I thought I'd, before I do that, I'm going to actually photograph them all, you know, so there we are. Yeah, I need to tread with caution on something like this. Very, very rare indeed. Once again, nice just to have an example. I don't think there's any sort of definitive list of what we're given, but these would have been given, say you travelled first class, these were probably, you were given one of these complimentary to read on your journey, which is very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. So I'm going to put that to one side because it's not part of the POWs. I'll pop that other one up there with it as well. Now we're back to the regular POW. Now that's an exceptionally bright copy of that one. Look at that. Quinnies. How superb is that? And some of these are absolutely tip-top shape, and others are really low grade, but better than not having one at all is how I always look at it. That's probably the best condition POW I've ever seen, let alone own. So, I mean, look at it. That's absolutely gobsmacking. I mean, wow. There is another one coming up, which I think is The Invisible Man, which is also really nice. Duo Ride. So this is another one in the fiction list. But it is, I look forward to seeing what these collectors have been able to come up with regards an updated list for the POWs, because it's a tough old ask to try and put them all together, to be honest. We just don't know at the moment. We've got an idea, you know, but it's, you know, many more have come to light, I think, since the last sort of lists were compiled. So it's going to require a bit of work. Very nice to see this one, England Made Me. See, this one was put into a POW issue, and it was also a Forces book club, but Brighton Rock did not have a POW issue, and I wonder why that was. Was it just because the regular edition of Brighton Rock had sold so well? They didn't really have any spare sleeves, or spare leaves rather, to bound up as POW issues. Who can tell? But this is, look, clearly it's the Forces Book Club edition, just with this new jacket. Now this has got a little name inside. Doesn't really say much about it, but once again, I think I ought to keep that in there just for because we just don't know. Now look at that. That's another Plymouth Minter. Look at that. I mean, that's incredible. That's probably better than my my regular edition of Steamboat Men, to be honest, because that's a real scarce one. Look how thin it is as well. I mean, this is a rebound Forces Book Club, but when you think that these were destined for prisoner of war camps, you can clearly see that a lot of these never saw the inside of a camp. I mean, no way. They're just in too good shape, some of these. So they were obviously held back, and these sort of copies were sold domestically. A lot of the, like Guild, for example, and Collins sold their surplus stock at the end of the war. I mean, Collins sold theirs and Guild through W.H. Smith's, and Smith's had put a little label on them saying these were surplus stock, and we've been given permission to sell them. Penguin, we don't know, but I suspect that these had some form of distribution after the war, but exactly what, I don't know. Once again, look at this. This is just astonishing, the condition of them. This is the first time since I got them that I've actually gone through them, and some of these are just blowing me away. I just can't believe how nice they are. Now that one there, 419, I definitely don't need that in there. That's nothing to do, that's just the book's number, the Penguin number, nothing to do with the book's sort of history, so we can safely get rid of that. That was just the Penguin main series number. There we are. Amazing. I've got to admit, I will be glad once these are bagged up and they're a little bit more safe, shall we say. Dark Forest number 420. And just to give you an idea, although I've got all of these in one hit, generally speaking, I tend to find one or two POWs, maybe one or two Forces Book Clubs a year, because I've only really started picking them up in the last sort of few years, like the last sort of decade or so, because I was getting quite close on the main series Penguin. Else I didn't really bother. When they turned up on catalogues, I didn't bother picking them up. But now, of course, now that I've got so many and I'm missing, well, we don't know really, at least on these, I wish I'd started picking them up earlier, but it doesn't matter. I think over time, buying and selling Penguin books, I will have some more will come my way, but I'm just delighted to have what I've got, and I'm not, being greedy. I'm not saying I want every single one. I'd love to, but the fact that, they're so scarce, I'm not expecting to ever complete these or Forces Book Clubs. They're just so few and far between. There's a previous owner's name there, so don't know. We're going to leave it in there though. I'm going to make the exception on these. Ordinarily I would rub that out. Now, this is one of the lower grade ones for the Green Mirror, 361. So this is quite beaten up, so we'll have an initial go through. It's still a POW. There we are. But this one is, potentially, this is the sort of book that may have gone to a camp, for all we know. Now, first of all, on the back here, it looks like a little 15p, which isn't really coming off very well. We've lightened it a little bit, but there was definitely a 15p on the back. Now, inside, these are pretty rough. I don't like to leave folded over pages if possible. Sometimes there's not a lot you can do with them when they've got to this stage, but because when you unfold them, the pages, the little flaps just disintegrate. It's just how it happens, but there's not loads to be done on this book. but it's certainly not in great shape compared to what we've been looking at. But who knows when, if any time, if ever, I'll ever find another one. And because of that, I have to, I'd rather have this copy in this condition than maybe never seeing another one. But it certainly is quite worn. But that's okay. A couple of the ones I've got in my collection already are very low grade. I didn't bother ordering any books from the catalogue just to upgrade them, except one Forces Book Club, and I was lucky enough to get it. So I actually do have a spare Forces Book Club of one called Profiles, but my copy is bound, as opposed to it's been bound with another book, I think, rather than it just being in traditional Forces Book Club coverage. So I don't know if anyone's going to want that one, so I'll probably end up eBaying it, because who knows, someone might want it as a curiosity. I might even keep it just as a variant, but I don't tend to do that. Now, there's a little bit of glue required at the top of the spine here. This is some proper repair work today. There we are. Not a great deal, but a bit, just to stop that getting any worse. And amazingly, we've still got about a dozen to go. But on the front covers, there's nothing else I can do. I can't get that pen off or anything like that. That's as much as I can do to that, really. So it's a bit of a rough diamond, but we can't really complain. An Airfighter scrapbook. Sadly, as is typical with a lot of the Cerise covers, they just fade. But that is par for the course. That's par for the course. There we are. That one, once again, just looks like the regular edition in a POW cover. Quite interesting. Trade Winds, another one with a faded spine. What you need to do, of course, is get the first printings and any reprints, then get the Forces Book Club, and then get the Prisoner of War if we've got one, and we can do like little comparisons. There we are, clearly published for the Forces Book Club there. Very nice. Farewell Victoria. This is a nice sharpish copy for a thin book. Little tear at the back there. Warren. A Forces Book Club down the bottom. It seems quite bright. Modern American short stories. 316. There we are, 1942. Incredible. A cherry tree, Adrian Bell. Need to examine the bottom of the spine, and in fact the top as well in a moment. Yeah, look, this is actually coming away. So you can see in this instance the glue has aged terribly. It's all splintered. And we'll just flick through, see if the book's okay inside, which it is. But this is one of those ones where the cover will come off completely. Yeah, published in the Forces Book Club. Very, very popular book, this. But you can see this copy. Look at that. There we are. So what we need to do is get out any carefully, get out any sort of gunk on this bit, and the same on the actual spine, so that we can have a stab at re-gluing it. And we'll be able to re-glue it without any issue. But as you can see, this old glue, we don't really want that in there, do we? There we are. It's flaking off all right though. As long as it's smooth, it'll be okay. So I've seen this before. It is quite literally, let's put that on the floor. I shall hoover afterwards, I promise. But it is quite literally just the glue. The book itself, the cover is really nice, but the signs were there because you could see it was coming away at the top and bottom of the spine. So we can't take anything else off in that. That's as good as we're going to be able to get it. So now, look at what's left. This is the remnants, and it's really weird, isn't it? So all I want to do is just carefully just see what flakes off, because we don't want to be gluing flaky glue back in there. So I'm just carefully teasing it off. Ugh, it's mucky stuff, I tell you. And the thing is, I guess these were being bound in different places around the country, and sometimes I guess they didn't have much choice. They just had to use what was available. So I'm thinking possibly some slightly substandard glue was used on this book, which is why it's just aged so badly. I don't think I want to take any more off that. I think that's probably enough. I'm going to take this little strand off as well. There we are. And I'm going to put a generous run of glue down the spine there. Hopefully our glue will be forthcoming, because there we are. We're going to need a fair bit of this, but it does need to be targeted quite well. I don't want to do right to the very end because it's going to squidge out. So that's the spine. I'm going to put another little layer directly onto the spine. Not much, but a bit. And we now have to hope that we can get this back in, but it shouldn't be an issue. Now, I have found from experience that because these covers are very, very thin in effect, you can over rub the spine when you do this. So I'm being quite careful pushing my finger in there to make the connection. I don't want to over rub this. Now this is going to take a day or two to really sort of set itself off. But hopefully we've done enough to keep it in one piece, basically, you know. And I think we have. I think we've done all right there. We've got rid of a lot of the old gunk, and it's looking all right, that. So can't complain. So that's okay. That will just need to set now. On to the next one, which is the Barber of Putney. And it's funny, a lot of these like that looks like it's had a little bit of repair at some point. Obviously I was not the first person to find these. They have been in another collector's collection for who knows how long. Here we are. This is the standard reprint. There's another tough one. So this is very low grade, as you can see. It's had tape on it. It's missing part of the bottom of the spine and the top. The book is quite tough to find. Yeah, it's definitely been taped at one point. But once again, I'll take it because it's just better than not having one at all. It is as simple as that, you know. I'm not going to be too fussy on some of these. As I said, I think I've got a couple which are quite low grade, but you know, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. It's just better than not having them. So yeah, a bit worn, that one, but I'm not going to complain too much. And we've got the gun, CS Forester, who I really like, and one of my favourite authors. So very nice to have this one in a POW issue. Probably very scarce. There we are. Once again, it's just starting to come away, but it doesn't really warrant trying to re-glue that, so I'm just going to leave that as is, because pulling it apart might actually make that a little bit worse. See that tiny little bit poking out there? I wonder if I can get the smidgen in, a smidgen of glue just in that bit there. Just the edge of the spine needed to be, there we are, that's literally it. So just a hair of a repair. And then before I take a break, look at this. That's magic, isn't it? Now once again, look, just the bottom there of the spine, a tiny little tear which we can glue back down. That's pretty blooming amazing, that, isn't it? Yeah, this has got a number in, and I suspect that this number, I've seen that done before, you know, on services editions, and I know where this has come from. This has come from the Eric Gadd collection, because he did that on his service. He did that on his Guild services editions. He would put the normal Guild number in on the front page. There we are. So yeah, so in a roundabout way, because I did end up with quite a bit of Eric's non-Penguin collection, services edition wise. There we are. That's just saved that from getting any worse. That's breathlessly good. I mean, my God, that's amazing. Wow. I mean, that's all I can say about that. Wow. Wow. And on that happy note, I'm going to take a little break. Right, so from one breathtaking beauty to another, look at this. Wow. So The Invisible Man is a book that I focus collect in Penguin, and I have quite a few printings of the original. I've got the first, second, third, fifth, sixth, seventh printings in the original covers. Obviously I didn't have this one. I also didn't get lucky enough to get the Forces Book Club edition on this particular order. I ordered it, but someone else beat me to it, sadly, so I didn't get everything I wanted. I actually only got 2/3 of what I ordered, so I still did incredibly well though, so I can't complain. But this is fantastic. I'm so pleased. So I wonder which printing. It does say, look, published for the Forces Book Club, so it was a specific Forces Book Club printing rather than just the latest one in the Penguin list. Look at that, June 43. And I would wager that that's never been read. That is just amazing. Another amazing edition. That's incredible. I've got 4 more. So Fontamara, main series 141. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, I have to say, pretty much blown away by all these Prisoner of War books. They've just been amazing. Get your heart racing, I can tell you, if you're a collector. Just having so many, it's just incredible. It's absolutely insane. I just can't believe I've got so many. Yeah, so this is another Eric Gadd one, because he's put that little number in there. As I said, that's what he used to do, and that's the main series number, 110. So I know we can safely get rid of that. Once again, interestingly, it's got that little slight overhang on the cover. Right, this is tough. Tarka the Otter. It looks like it's got a cover tear. I've got the Forces Book Club of this one, but yeah, it's got a tiny little cover tear there, like a closed tear, which there's not really much we'll be able to do with that. Let's just check the rest of it. Yeah, Forces Book Club edition. It is like a clean tear. I mean, I suppose we could theoretically because the area affected is actually all white, on the inside cover it's all printed, this piece, but you could theoretically get a little bit of glue. There's just the tiniest edge, the tiniest little edge where you could potentially glue that back, but it's a very delicate job. It would be one that you'd need to do almost under a magnifying glass, really. And I think for now I'm not going to attempt that right now, but I think maybe one day, for the time being, I'm just going to stick it in a bag. Anyway, here's the last one. Look at this. I mean, once again, it's so bright, absolutely astounding condition. I've never seen so many POW issues in such great shape, and all I can think of is, once again, this is an Eric Gadd one. Oh, look at that. It's got a popular bookshop in Melbourne. I mean, cool. Can you believe that? How on earth did it get out to Australia? Wow. Well, if only they could talk, eh? But I mean, look at the condition of it. That doesn't look like it's been in a POW camp, does it? Let's be honest. Very few of these do. I think the tatty ones maybe, but wow. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to do the brushing of them right now. So I'm going to take a little handful and I'm going to gently just do the edges, do a big wedge at a time. And then basically these are all set to be bagged up, but I am going to photograph them first. Once I've pulled my my other POWs down, I'm going to do the same with the Forces Book Club, I think. I'll have a nice record then of everything that I've got with pictures, which will be quite a good thing to have, in my opinion. Plus, of course, they all need to be catalogued into my main collection, which will also take some time. Okay. Unfortunately, the weather isn't too great to be doing this outside today, because that's what I usually do particularly with older books, but I also don't want to overly handle these. I just want to keep them, now that they've been gone through and cleaned, I just want to get them bagged really so that they're safe. See, this one, Do a Rides, has actually got a tiny bit at the base of the spine coming away. So I'm going to put that to one side because I think we're going to need to re-glue that a little bit. It's one that I missed first time round. And then these are the last ones. Okay. Right, you can see it's just lifted at the bottom there. I didn't pick that up at the time. So if I can slide a bit of glue into that little bit there, we'll be stopping it snagging. If the glue hasn't dried up on me. No, there we are. And I think when we press it down, it's going to go right to the edge. There we are. Yep, we've done all right there. Wow, what a collection. So, as I said, we've got more to come. There'll be the last wedge, which will be the Forces Book Club, and I've got a few more American ones. But for now, we shall go back to doing some more regular books. So let's finish off these timescapes. These shouldn't be anything like as delicate to handle. And these pickup videos I usually do over like a couple of days, sometimes even 3 days, as I pull stuff together and make a bit of room as I go along. That's nice, isn't it? That's 6 inside that one. I don't know if that's $6 or £6. But these ones I've got all to one side because these are going to need to be, once they've been rubbed down, or brushed I should say, they're going to need to be polished as well. And that one feels like it needs a bit of a polish, that one. Now this one, look, it's got an Old Forbidden Planet sticker on the front there. The Fire in His Hands, Glenn Cook. Do I take the label off or not? It's not a particularly offensive label. I think I'm going to leave it. We'll leave that one for now. Fire Flood of Vonlyn McIntyre, who I don't mind, actually. I do not mind her. Of course, she wrote quite a bit of Star Trek and some of the original series Star Trek, and she's and they're good ones. That's cool. Golden Swan. Yes, I've got about. I didn't have many apart from the Star Treks. I only had about 8 Timescape books in my collection. I found a few from Dorset Bob's. So to get this little wedge here all in one hit is super cool. Very, very pleased. Very pleased indeed. So we might as well do the rest of these. So this was the one which never had UK distribution, amongst others, but this is one of the ones that didn't. So it's consequently scarce because they just wanted to promote the British one over here. Brilliant cover by Boris as well. Not perfect condition, but it's scarce. Simple as that. Big, big, thick book. It would be expensive to, very hard to find. It'd be expensive to import this one as well, I would think, because of its size. It'd be dearer than usual. Nice jacket, that. What a lovely cover. Very cool. Very cool. Another great author. I do enjoy Jerry Purnell. I do enjoy him. This is cool. Yeah, these are coming up very nicely indeed. Just a handful more to do. I said I got all these from my friend Paul at the SF Book Cave on YouTube. I believe he's been selling stuff to a few other collectors around the UK as well, so do hit him up if there's something you're after. He's got a huge collection himself, including a complete door collection. I'm very jealous of that. All in great shape. He's really good for his conditions. Really, really good. And the last one. What a great jacket again. It says Carl Lundgren, 1979. Very cool dragon jacket on that one. Got to admit, I don't think I've ever read any Nancy Springer, or maybe a short story or something in a digest. when I was going through those growing up. I used to read quite a few SF digests in the 80s, so it may have been something in there. So that's super cool. Right, got a few more paperbacks here. So this is one that was just given to me by a friend at work. He said, oh, anything here of interest? And I saw this one on the shelf, and it was a 4 square, which I do collect. I knew this is one I didn't have. And Michael Innes is reasonably collectible, but this is a book I didn't have, but it was a little bit worn, as you can see. But it was a freebie from my friend, and look at that, it is a first 4 square from 1964. So beggars can't be choosers, eh? So there's actually nothing I can actually do on that to clean it, except do the edges and a polish in a bit. So that was all right. This is one I picked up at Hay-on-Wye. I suspect this is better than my own copy. And I did have another copy that appeared in a collection I got fairly recently. In fact, well, it was the barn find. I only got around to sorting that part of the collection recently. So I've got a friend who wanted a copy of this, so I have sent it to him with my compliments because he's such a good egg. So Chris, if you're watching this, it was a real pleasure, my friend. This is cool. Yeah, look at that, Tom Dish. Very good. I've got Camp Concentration. I think I've got the Genesis. I didn't have this one in Panther, and I believe it was the first. Quite a thin little novel. This is from Bookshop 451. Yeah, the first from 1970. So that's super cool. They had some very, very nice high-grade paperback science fiction in that shop, I've got to say. In fact, I wish I bought a little bit more looking back at the video I did of it. I've already got this one, but I just love the edition. I just can't stop picking it up. So I'm going to compare it against my own copy, and I'll probably keep another one as a backup because I love the book that much. It's just really, really great. Very unusual. Not like his sort of regular stuff, but it's good. It really is good. This just that jacket, something about it. Brian Edwards was the author, or was the artist rather. Very cool indeed. Right, this was another one which I was really pleased to get. Look at that nice spine on it. I did check with my friend Steve. He said it was a good little compilation. Oh, got a bit of paper in there. Someone's bookmark of some sort. What's this? Don't know. A little receipt. The War Book. Yeah, pretty cool that. That was also, all of these were from Bookshop 451 in Hay-on-Wye. Then the next little trio was a trio. Oh look, there's their little bookmarks. Bookmarks from Bookshop 451. There they are. And we did go into Clock Tower Books. So these are a few little mementos. Yeah, look at these. These were from Green Ink booksellers. And look at these pans. How good are they? They're just unbelievable. Incredible condition. Absolutely mint, unread, white pages. Just got that name inside. So I suspect these all came from the same source. They were somehow remaindered or something. I'm not really sure. Not sure if these will come off on the back. Yeah, they're only in pencil. And they're nothing special. But they do... This does detract from the look of the book, so I'm going to get rid of this, and then these are all probably going to be really nice tip-top upgrades for me. How often do you find mint pans? You know, I mean, it's not regular, is it? Not something that happens every day. I've never seen a pan western in such nice condition. I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So we got 3 like that. That was the best one. None of these were on my wants list. You see, they've got the same marking on the side. None of these were on my wants list as wanting. Yeah, I've got the books anyway, but none of them were on my upgrade list, I should say. But I bought them just because it's so unusual to see them in such great shape. And I guarantee these will be better condition than what I've got already. And even if I've got nice ones, I'm going to just run them by my friend Dorset Bob, who collects pan, but he only wants them in tip-top shape, which is a good way to be. His pan collection is really great because they're in such nice condition, you know. Lovely. Look at the page quality, it's just amazing, isn't it? And we've actually got one more, which is from Hay as well, the Willow Cabin, another one which I'm sure is an improver on my own one. Just, God, if only we could find the books like this regularly, eh? But they're just not out there. So when you see them, I suggest you pick them up, you know. There we are, that's those three. Good stuff. Also from Green Ink Book, I picked up this one, Heaven and Hell. This is a Penguin miscellaneous title. It's not marked Q1, but it is miscellaneous, or Q number 1, basically. Now, this copy isn't perfect, but it's not bad. And, you know, it doesn't really turn up. Just doesn't, you know, very dusty. So I have got a copy of this, but I wanted to compare it against my own one, and then it's going to go into stock. It has got a wrapper which has been repaired, so I'm going to leave the wrapper all like protected, I think, for now. But I mean, you know, it doesn't go for a fortune. I mean, a really mint one, maybe about 15 if it's absolutely mint. That copy there, once again, I'm going to need to compare it against my own one, but I think mine's probably better. I'll probably put about 8 on that. But it is scarce. It is a scarce little item, Q number 1. Right, now back to right, now this one came from Dorset Bob, Director's Cut. This is a Nicholas Royal. I did pick up the trade paperback of it. This is one which just came through. It was just part of the collection, so I picked it up. Brand new, of course. And I got a couple more Keith Royals here. 2 of his early anthologies that he edited. These are Darklands 1 and Darklands 2. These are pretty early for him, and they're in tip-top shape. That one's got a little it's not the advanced info, it's just it's a case of order like the limited signed version of it, something like that. This is the second follow-up version. They do, I mean, these are scarce. I think these are both pretty scarce, you know. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think they are. I think they're pretty scarce, these bad boys. So nice to get a couple more Nicholas Royals for the collection. I also picked this one up from Bob. I used to have this, I think, at one point, but I haven't got one now, so I was really pleased because I still love the Avengers. This is like the Avengers Files. Andrew Pixley, who's like a great tele-fantasy historian, really. I mean, there's no... When I was sort of growing up and finding out about these series, his name in publications would turn up time and time again. Bob only charged me £5 for that, which I was really pleased with, so cannot complain at that. I picked up one Folio Society book, because we are almost at the end of the books now. We just have to do a little bit of cleaning. This is also in Hay-on-Wye at Green Ink Booksellers. It's the Dickens Encyclopedia, which is one I've been after. And this was £20 less 20%, so I got it for 16. I've had a real job finding this one. The books themselves in this uniform edition are around, but this one isn't. It sort of bookends the series, and I think you had to be a real Dickens aficionado to really want to buy this one. But I really like it. It's like a guide to all the books and the characters. It's great. Nice book that. I'm really pleased to get that. So that was it's the first folio book I bought in quite a while, actually. I haven't been chasing them because where I store them is quite full at the moment. But I was very pleased to get that. And then we got a couple more hardbacks before we end with the Penguin Forces Book Club. So 2 Keith Roberts hardbacks. So he's making an appearance again. We got Ladies from Hell, and we've got Kite World, both glance yellow jackets. Now they've been quite nicely wrapped, so I'm going to keep them wrapped, but I am just going to brush the edges. So Ladies from Hell was a Keith Roberts that never was released or has never been published in paperback for some unknown reason. It only ever had the hardback. So this one was 20 less 20%, so it cost me £16. So I was really pleased to get that because I am trying to get all the Keith Roberts. I don't want them all in hardback, but since this didn't come out in any other format, I have no choice, do I? But as I said, I think I'm going to keep, because they've been nicely wrapped, I'm going to keep them in these plastic wraps for now. So that was one I got. And then the other one I got was a real treat. This is my treat from the Hay-on-Wye trip, really. It was Kite World by Keith Roberts. Again, another glance yellow jacket. And this one was 35, but it was signed. There we are, look at that. So, supremely cool. So I just brush the edges again. A little bit of tanning to the top edges. A bit of foxing. But nothing too bad, you know. Let's get the price out. So yeah, so pretty good. I did enjoy my time in Hay. I really did. So that basically just leaves the Penguin Forces Book Club books to do. Now I think I am half tempted to spill them over into a second video, because I am due some more books as well. Not hundreds, but it is a batch of vintage books this week. So I might not clean up any more new books. I might carry them over to a second video for now. And I think we'll just clean up what we've got left. I think that's how I'm going to play it for the time being. Right. Okay, so I'm back the following day just to finish these off, and sadly the weather has taken a turn for the worse. It's actually raining outside, so I can't brush these outside the studio, which I wanted to do. But thankfully I don't think anything's like horrifically bad, so I'm just going to do them in here today, and then we're going to do a little bit of polishing just to finish the video off. I have decided I've got so much to do here. I've got my Big Run of Forces book club, and I've got some other vintage paperbacks on the way, that it's probably a better idea to do a second pickups video a bit later in the month, in about 2-3 weeks time possibly. I'll do another one. So no harm done. Hopefully you're not too disappointed. But having these videos, 2 hours is really enough. And even this is probably going to end up a bit beyond 2 hours. So bearing in mind we've still got a bit of polishing to do yet. So that'll be our final stage. So yeah, we shall do the next one in the next couple of weeks. All will be fine. End of these timescapes now, And then these B formats, well, I'll do these too. A couple of picadors to the collection. This huge one. Right, let us get the polish out because we have a bit of polishing to do. Right, let's get polishing. And I don't foresee anything being particularly dirty this time, but I think I do want to run the old polish over these books. In fact, this one has actually got quite a big sticker removal mark on the back, so let's give that a bit of targeted polish. Let's clean it in. There we are. And as you can see, that's that sticker removal mark has, well, that bit of excess glue left by sticker removal has come off completely, which is that's why we do this, get the books looking as nice as possible. That's what we're looking to do. So when I pick this book up to read, it's going to be in hopefully in a good state. This one's quite grubby, but it was also quite old. So it is what it is. I think we got the worst of it off. There's still a few little marks on it, but you know, we can't expect perfection. Quite a stubborn mark on the front, but we've just about got it off. And on the back here, there were a couple of marks, but I don't think we can do anything about these. These are more like, we got that one there. I'm not sure about this one, if it's some sort of glue or something. I'll give it one last squirt. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It has seemed to have got it though. Thankfully, these were produced at a time when books had glossy covers, thankfully, so we are able to do a reasonably decent number on them. Obviously, none of the early books we've seen today are going to be polished, of course, because they've got paper covers, so we cannot take the risk. Now these timescapes, I'm hoping aren't too bad, because Paul generally cleans his books as well. So they're just going to need the little once over is all. They should be absolutely fine. But just sort of sense check them as we go along. It's got a bit of staining, but it's actually nothing we can do about that. Polish isn't going to really lift it up, because it actually had a little bit of water damage there, just a wrinkle on the back. Nothing serious, but it is what it is. This one can have a gentle one. It's not got a fully glossy cover, but it's an absolutely stonking copy. So very, very pleased with that. I'll pop that over there. Yeah, the Chester Himes is okay. I mean, it wasn't quite as nice as I was hoping, but it was cheap. It was only £3 plus the postage, which isn't too bad. Generally, these go for about £10 each, and I have seen them as much as 12 each for Chester Himes in Panther. So I'm pleased to get a couple, well, another one at least, to the collection. One day I shall have them all. I mean, there's not that many to collect. It's just finding them at a decent price is quite hard. Well, I think to have a look. You know how it is. Dust are getting a bit dry, so I keep it, give it Another squirt, as it were. It's that lovely John Wyndham. Very pleased to get this. It's taken so long. It really has. I said, I think if you see the ones with the big penguin logo on the front, it's almost like they were compensating at this period in time for starting to go to photograph covers. They wanted to still try and shout that they were a penguin and not get mixed in with the others. But most other publishers at the time were also photograph covers, so they were just sort of staying with the with what was happening with popular trends in publishing, really, I think. Very pleased to get that one as well, the Rockfords. Been enjoying rewatching that and Kojak lately. I'm rewatching them both at the moment. Real slice of 70s action. Both very different sorts of series, really, except for the period when they were made. The Kojaks are a bit earlier than Rockford, although it did go on for a bit. All very good stuff. Lem. Yeah, I should be giving this one a read. I've not read anything like it enough, Stanislaw Lem, but what I've read I've now enjoyed. So is he Polish? Just trying to think of his nationality. I wonder if it says on the back. Poland, yeah, born in Poland. Yeah, I thought he was. Really, really fun. Just like nothing quite like it, basically. So yeah, I did enjoy him, and I haven't read any novels. All the stuff I've read has been shorts, like novellas or short stories. So I don't know what his full-on novels are like, but I might see if my friend Steve, the Outlaw Bookseller, has done a video on Lem. I'd be surprised if he hadn't had. Let's see what he's got to say. One more for this pile, and then we're halfway through the polishing. As I said, I'm going to be back in about 3 weeks to 2 to 3 weeks to do the second half of this, because it's just, I've had so much come my way lately with all the extra penguins that this video would end up being too long, and I don't want to be doing that. So consequently, I'll split it into a couple of parts. I have actually got a couple of other new books that have come my way. They're not books, well, they are books. One's the Phantasmagoria magazine, and the other one is the Book of the Dead from Steve Jones. So I'd like to do, I'm going to do like a review of both of those side by side on the channel, like a dedicated review, but I will also feature them in my next pickup videos, because they're here, they're in the house, but I would like to read them first, and then I can give you my opinion. The Book of the Dead is very, very similar to last year's one, which was excellent. Lots of people within the world of books and TV and film. And Phantasmagoria is the like short fiction, reviews, articles, very interesting. I've been enjoying reading it, to be honest. Comes from Trevor Kennedy over in Belfast, talented young man, and becoming a bit of a writer in his own right now. So I've got those to have a look through. I'll try and read them myself tomorrow, and then we'll see how we get on. See if I can get that review out Thursday week as I'm filming this. That is my plan. That was good. This had a little spot on the front cover which has come straight up by using the polish there. That's nice and shiny again. And that's all I'm really looking for, is just little bits where I can improve these books by giving them the once over. I've checked my Iris Murdochs and I don't have this one. I didn't think I had, because I always love books which are sideways on, horizontal covers. So and there are quite a few, much more common in America than over here. And there are some science fiction ones. I seem to remember there's quite a nice Arthur C. Clarke, which was published by Ballantine, which had a horizontal jacket. So but it's one I don't have an original of. I've got a picture of it, but not one that I own. That would be a good little thing for some people to collect. I bet there are people who collect books which are that way round, sideways round. This one was pretty dirty. A lot of muck coming off this, actually. Yeah, very, very dirty indeed. Funny, isn't it? Look at that, look how dirty that's got. So I'm going to get a fresh bit of cloth, move it along a little bit, and give it another squirt. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. A bit of a mixture again, as is always the case with me, but a nice bit of vintage in here as well. Some real super vintage with the Penguin Prisoner of War. And as I said, next video I've got my Forces book club in the Penguin. That is literally all. Oh, and a few American ones to do, and a couple of Australians. So I got them to come in the next video, vintage Penguin wise. I've got the 2 new books I was just telling you about. I've also got a run of I've got a few other Agatha Christie's which I've got from another dealer, which I'm hoping are going to be possible improvers to my own ones, and then they're going to go into stock. And I've also got a run of handy books. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They were an American publisher. I've picked up a nice run of them, about 20 handy books from Mike at PS Publishing. So they should be, they're not here yet, but they should be here any day, and then they'll be in my next pickups video. So look out for them next time, plus of course anything else which has potentially come my way in the meantime, and you never know what's around the corner. Now don't forget, if you enjoy these cleaning videos, I do have a dedicated channel which I always have a link to at the end of my videos, which is all my cleaning videos. I have a cleaning video once a week. So if you're interested, or you like these cleaning videos, you just like to see old books, then potentially you want to go over to there. Add a little bit of pencil on the back still, and check out my dedicated cleaning channel. The other thing you can do to help the channel is become a channel member or a Patreon supporter. You get access to a dedicated members exclusive video once a week, and you also get access to my sales videos early, and any key videos like this one, for example, you also get to see usually a few days before it goes live, sometimes as much as a week in advance. Sales videos a lot further in advance. Usually you get like 10 days advance notice. So if that's something that you think is worth it, to become a channel member costs about £1 or $1.50. You can, there's various tiers, or you can go to patreon.com, or just hit the join members button down below and join through YouTube. So if you can, you get your name in the credits, as you would have seen earlier on in the video. I usually update the credits about once a month. And you have my undying support and thanks for keeping the channel afloat. So thank you very much, all my channel members and Patreon supporters. You are the best. But that's it for this week. So if you enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. If you've not already, do please subscribe. That costs absolutely nothing. And I will look forward to seeing you again very soon with another video. There we go. Bye.